Blackhawks defenseman Alex Vlasic is with us in studio, and Seth Jones meets the media. All that next on CHGO Blackhawks. Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks Podcast. Hope you're having a nice Tuesday. I'm Jay Zawoski with Mario Tirabassi, and to my far left, Blackhawks defenseman Alex Vlasic. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thank you.
When last we spoke, you had a different head coach.
We did. Yeah.
It was the last time you were here, you left, and Luke Richardson was fired. What was that day like?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I heard some rumors like maybe a few minutes before it happened. Some of my friends texting and stuff, and then all of a sudden I just like pull up social media and it was everywhere. So yeah, it was a crazy day. I don't know how long ago was that now? Like over a month?
Yeah, that was December like 5th or something like that. Because the first game with Anders was December 7th, and I know you guys had like one practice before then with him and stuff. If you want to, you don't have to, but what's the vibe like after that happens? Like, are all you guys kind of calling and texting each other? Are you trying to reach out to Luke? Like, what goes on the rest of that day?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of gossip. I think in the hockey world, it's a pretty dramatic thing to happen. I mean, it's the first time for me playing professional hockey that a coach has gotten fired. So it was kind of strange for me, and I think for some of the older guys, like who have been around the block a few times, like that's kind of just the normal thing that happens when teams don't have success, when people think that they should and when the team thinks they should. So yeah, for me, I would say it was kind of eye-opening and a little crazy at first. Yeah, it was I think going to the rink the next day, kind of didn't know what to expect. At least for me, I knew Anders from previous time in Rockford, so I kind of knew what he was all about. But yeah, it was just something new and kind of almost felt like a complete switch up right away, just having a new head coach.
Is there, and again, state secrets, feel free to avoid the question if you want, but is there a players meeting then where everyone sort of talks about the change and how you got there? Like, I would imagine the day following or the hours following is pretty intense.
Yeah, I think, I texted a couple people right after it happened on the team. And then the next day we had a meeting with the coach, and obviously the first one. I don't think we had a specific players meeting or anything, but I think after a couple games in, I think we might have lost a couple games, and it was just kind of collectively known in the group that at that point, there was no more blame that can be put on the fact that it's the coach and it's kind of the players in the locker room now, right? Like they switched up the coach, and it's up to us now to perform and kind of prove that we are the players that this team needs to be here. So that was kind of the message I think that was mainly put across from our team.
Well, knowing that that's kind of the mentality that you guys are going into, how is this stretch since Anders took over? How has that been in the room? Because I know it's kind of been up and down. You'll have a game where you beat a team like Colorado, and then there's games that have kind of been results that have kind of fallen flat. Like, how has it been with the guys going kind of through that stretch?
Yeah, I think the last since we've gotten back from break, really, I think that's it's been tough. It's been a struggle. It seems like we really haven't been able to put more than one or two good games together. Right when Anders was there, a couple weeks in, I think we put those 3 wins together. It felt like we were kind of headed in the right direction, and then go on break, and then we're right back to kind of the same losing ways. So it's tough. It's been tough on us for sure. We're trying everything to figure out how we can kind of turn it around. I mean, yeah, it hasn't been good for us to be losing this much, and it sucks. We feel badly for the support that we get from the fans and everything, because we know that they love our team, and we, they mean so much to us. So we definitely value their support, and for us to be kind of letting them down as well as ourselves, it's been rough for sure.
Well, a couple of things. I think that, we do a show after every game and a couple times a week, and we have access to their passion in real time, as you're seeing here on the chat. And, I think when you hear, like last night, we heard some boo birds and we hear some frustration. I hope the players understand it's because these fans care so deeply, and the Hawks are such a big part of their lives. And when things get to where we all think they're going to get, be it in a year, 2 years, 3 years, or whatever, they're going to be there, and they're going to be the loudest people. And I know you guys had your season ticket holder party, and I'm sure it wasn't a hostile environment there. People are excited to see you guys. So I hope that the players feel that the criticism is coming from a place of intense caring about the organization and the team.
For sure. I don't think we think it's, we don't think that they're just kind of booing us to boo us. I think, like you said, they want us to win as badly as we do, because they've been, they want to stick through the rebuild and stick through the process of us getting better and getting to the point where we're starting to win most of our games. And it means a lot to them, and especially being from Chicago, I know how big of a support that the crowd can be at those games, especially in the playoffs and stuff, like just to see how rowdy the United Center can be. So I don't think anybody's really getting rattled at the fans. I think we know why they're frustrated, and it's, no one to blame but us.
So it's easy for us and for fans to kind of dissect what we think is going wrong and watching a game from our press box or from TV or whatever it might be. What do you think has been the biggest obstacle to you guys being able to put consistent efforts together? Because like Mario said, we'll see great games like against Colorado, and you don't beat Edmonton, but it's a great game. And then you've got games like Detroit and Calgary and the Winter Classic. What do you think is the biggest issue that's preventing that consistency?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like we've all kind of been asking ourselves that question like all year. Like, it's hard to really put your finger on what it is specifically that, like, I feel like in certain games it's different things. I think we honestly don't hold possession of the puck enough to create offensive chances and to draw penalties. I think that's a small example, but I think in the last 3 games or so we've really only had like 2 penalties drawn, just because we don't have the puck. Like, I think we're not in the offensive zone enough. We're always in the defensive zone. And you can have a great defensive team, but if you spend 75% of the game in your zone, something's bound to go in. So, I don't know exactly what it is specifically, but I think the Edmonton game, I feel like we were bad at managing pucks. We turned a couple pucks over on line rushes right at the red line. They go down and score. And we know better than that. We know not to do that. And it seems like we just kind of keep shooting ourselves in the foot with things that we should know by now.
So when and I feel like a lot of people can relate to situations where, you're in those kinds of environments where it's just like, what should be happening, but it's hard to kind of pinpoint like the reasons that it's not. Kind of peeling it back to yesterday's game, coming out of the first intermission, you guys are down 3-1, and the way things have been going this season. When you take the ice that second period, like, what is said in between that can, give you guys some push in that situation, knowing that basically the previous 43 rather games, kind of you've had those struggles all year, and you come out and you're like, okay, we got to go do this again. Like, how do you get up for that in that moment, or what's the challenges to getting up for that?
Yeah, it's definitely difficult. I feel like you said, we've found ourselves in that position plenty of times this season. So, I think for us, some of the games this year, I think we played the Islanders in Long Island. We played Calgary in Calgary, a couple of games where we're down like 5-1 and managed to somehow get 4 goals in the third period. Like, I think those are like the little things of like glimmers of hope that our team attaches onto when we are down. Or like, let's say we had the first period. Obviously, yesterday we played awful in the first period and kind of got ripped into a little bit, which rightfully so. I think we all needed a little bit of a wake-up call. And I think a little bit of that, a little bit of kind of just being hard on the team. And like I said, latching on to those games where we do manage to kind of claw back. And I think sometimes when we are down, we play our best hockey in the third period when we know that we're a couple goals away from tying it back up, but at least then we're on our toes, we're playing aggressive, we're taking chances, which is not always going to result in a goal, but at least you're kind of playing a little bit more aggressive. And in this league, I feel like when you don't and you give teams time and space, that's kind of when they capitalize.
Do you think it could be, it is a combination of young players, you among them, and really experienced veterans? And I remember we talked to you after your rookie season, and you talked about sharing a locker room with Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, and how there's a little bit of like an aura to those guys and a little bit of a mystique. And sometimes young players were kind of like, ooh, like it's intimidating. And you see a guy with, like Alec Martinez and Pat Maroon. And I'm not saying it's a bad influence by any means, not saying that 1%, but is there a little bit of a like us and them kind of a feel in the locker room, or a fear of messing up from the young guys that could be causing some of this?
Yeah, I mean, I can only kind of speak to what I've experienced and kind of what I told you guys. Yeah, like when I did come to the Hawks and Kane and Toews were on the team, for me there was that little bit of uneasiness where I didn't necessarily want to make a mistake. Like I was nervous around those guys on the ice because obviously they're such great players, and I didn't want them to think that I wasn't. So I was a little bit extra cautious with the certain plays I was making and didn't feel like I was trusting my instincts as much as I do now. And I think for me that was like just a matter of experience and time of like playing in the NHL and playing around those players where I could kind of get over that. And now I feel I don't even think about that anymore. But yeah, I mean, we do have some of those young guys that, like Frankie and Docker that are, have less than 20 NHL games of experience. So for them, I mean, I like I said, I don't know exactly what they're feeling, but I'm sure that there is a little bit of that where, they're still trying to kind of tiptoe around where their place in the lineup is and like what their role is, as opposed to, if they were in Rockford, I think, they were doing unreal and they kind of know that they're the top dogs there. But I think it is just a matter of time. And I think every player kind of goes through that. No matter what team you're on, I think there's always going to be those older guys on the team that are such, good players and have been around for so long.
Now, I stopped short of calling you a veteran, but you've been on a team for a while. You've established yourself. You got a new contract that proves you're an established NHL player. Is there any part of you when a young player comes in and is aggressive and asserting themselves and shooting and scoring that you're like, damn it, they have not earned the right to score goals and to celebrate and to be themselves? Like, I feel like sometimes if a young player was just told, hey, man, it's cool if you score. We're not going to be mad at you if you put the puck in the net. It's okay. I don't know. It's a funny kind of thing to me that these guys who have been studs their whole life have to feel they got to sit back and defer to these older guys simply because they're young. Like, no, man, Frank, go score a hat trick. We're going to be thrilled if you do that,
Yeah, I think honestly, at least in my opinion, I think it's like a good thing, at least as not an older guy, but like somebody who's older than those guys. Like I'd rather have them be a little bit more like that where they are kind of cautious just in terms of like how the guys in the locker room perceive them. Because I think sometimes when you get somebody that's overly confident, like the guys in the locker room can kind of be like, oh, this young kid's like super cocky and he's arrogant. And so at least from what we've seen from the young guys like this year, like nobody's been like that. And they are kind of a little bit still trying to figure out their role, which is nice to see. But yeah, at a certain point it's ready. You have to wait for them to be ready to kind of put on the gas and say, hey, like I belong here. I'm just as good as anybody else. Like I'm going to do my thing.
Does the feeling of the locker room, I know some of those guys have been here just for a handful of games, but does the feeling of the locker room have any kind of difference to it than when it was at the beginning of the year where you guys had the third oldest team in the league at the start of the season? Now you've had guys like Frank Nazar and Colton Dock come into the fold. Does the locker room feel a little bit different even with them being here just for a little bit?
Definitely. Yeah. I think, I love it. I, consider myself kind of like goofy and immature a little bit.
Definitely
in the locker room.
That's what everybody says.
Just to like kind of like mess around and have fun, because I feel like you kind of have to. But yeah, having those guys around, I love it. I feel like, they're easy to kind of joke with and have fun with, and they definitely bring that level of energy, especially, Docker first game comes in and starts throwing, 5 hits around or whatever, I think somebody was saying. So, yeah, there is a different level of like I'm excited to be here. I'm trying to like make my mark when you have those young guys around.
All right, let's take a quick pause. Just remind everybody to hit that like button for us and make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube page as well. And if you're catching up on the podcast, thank you. Make sure you are following or subscribed on your favorite podcast app. And we have a super chat we want to get to from our buddy Deadhawk, who says, Alex, how does it feel to have the 4th hardest shot in the NHL this season? And how can we convince you to shoot more lasers?
It feels good. And I don't know. Yeah, I think I definitely do have to do a better job. I have to do a better job of getting more shots to the net and just taking some more slap shots. I think we got to get in the offensive zone first, and then we'll see what happens.
What stick do you use? Like, what are your
I use like the Nexus, the Bauer Nexus, but I honestly might be one of the only guys in the league that uses a stick. It was like a couple of years ago, the Bauer came out with the Geo. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's like it had like 5 sides.
Yeah, I remember
so like
that.
the side that goes on your palm is like two. It kind of goes like this into your palm.
Yeah.
So I don't know, for some reason I tried it out and I loved it and I've stuck with it. And they stopped making the stick, but they'll make that like spec for me.
Oh, that's cool.
And every time I show somebody, like they're like, "What is this thing?" Like nobody uses it. So I might be like the only player in the league that uses it.
That's awesome.
But I love it.
Next time we are in the room, would you be able to show us that so we can make a social video for it?
100%.
People would love to see that. And I got my old Bauer over there. It's wood.
I was looking at that,
but it's got the concave handle, so it's not flat. It caves in.
Okay,
and that was also for grip.
Yeah.
Old technology.
It's probably might be long enough for you. That's a big ass. It's a big ass Bauer.
Yeah,
that thing's older than you are.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
Yeah, I only asked because like I was just last night we were moving things around, and I remember we have Seth's, I have a Seth autograph stick, and it's a 100 flex, and Connor's got like a 65 flex on his stick or something like that. I was just wondering because for taller guys like you and Crevier too, like just how the specs of the stick are so different, and how with like a powerful slap shot like that, like having like a more firm stick is like makes such a big difference.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like personal preference, and I like playing around with it a little bit. I have 102 right now, and last year I was 95 maybe, or the year before I was 95. And I switched to 102 for like slap shots specifically. But I don't know, like I was thinking about maybe going back to like 95 and trying out, just because I feel like so many times you get in situations where you don't have enough time to take a slap shot, and like a wrist shot's better, and you're able to like snap it a little bit more quickly and get it like higher, faster. And I remember I talked to Werenski at World Championships this past summer because I thought it was interesting. Like he only takes wrist shots really, and he uses like an 87 flex, I think. And he said he used to use like 100, but since he was like, I never really take slap shots, and every goal he scores is just like a wrist shot, like floater. Like even Makar like has a bomb of a wrist shot, but I think he uses a pretty like whippy stick because of that. So,
do you guys ever have like power play sticks? Like ones they'll just like, so for a defenseman who's the plan is to shoot more, right? Would you ever consider, or does anyone have a different flex for different situations?
I feel like I've heard of that, like at least like years ago. I remember like some players like were like that, but I've never seen that. No, we actually at BU we used to have one guy who had like a penalty kill stick that was longer, a defenseman.
That's smart.
And it was a goalie stick actually.
But yeah, no, I feel like it would just mess me up. Like even that like 95 to 102, like that like 7 flex difference, like you actually notice quite a bit. And I feel like, yeah, when you have a stiffer stick, I honestly like the passing and like puck handling better because it's more like responsive. Whereas like if it's whippier, it's kind of like more loose. I don't know.
I've heard Victor Hedman has like 130.
Krebs uses 120. Yeah,
120.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He's got a rebar.
If he did the hardest like shot competition, I think he'd honestly win.
Wow.
Like he has a bomb. Like I don't know if you've seen it in practice or anything, but like when he gets everything on it, it's got to be like 105.
Well, he's really turned a corner here like the last probably dozen games or so.
I think was like his best game I've seen him play.
Yeah, he just, I mean, and as we talk about, guys struggling and fighting through losing and stuff, I feel like personal confidence makes such a big difference. And Anders sort of said that today. Like, I think we've got guys maybe really wanting to do better, and they're just thinking about it so much. It looks like Crevier has really slowed things down, and looks like he's playing with a ton of confidence.
Yeah, I'm happy for him. I'm happy because we started in Rockford together, and like now we're playing together here, and that's really cool. But yeah, he's gotten so much better. Just his growth and confidence. Like I feel like he's starting to realize that he can skate a few more pucks in, because he's such a good skater for 6'8", and he's so big. Like it's hard to knock the puck off him. But he's been playing great. Yeah, I'm very happy for him.
You spent some time with him, and I think Blackhawks fans are now getting to know him a little bit now that he's played a little bit more consistently in the NHL. He seems like a really nice guy for someone who's that big and plays that physical on the ice. What's his personality like in the room?
Yeah, he's kind of just like, what's that movie? It's like The Big Friendly Giant or that BFG.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's just like the most like innocent, like nice, like shy, kind of passive person. At least he was, and I think like once he gets comfortable, he start like around me, he's not like, he'll kind of open up and like chirp me, and which I love. Like I love that, and he's definitely that same kind of like shy way around some of the older guys maybe. But yeah, it's fun to kind of see his like personality grow as well. But he's like one of the nicest people you'll ever meet.
Is there a guy in the team who's kind of a bridge between the young players and the old players? Like, or maybe is there a veteran that the young players just feel a little more comfortable with?
I mean, speaking for myself, like Marty, he's probably like my best friend on the team, and he's like 37. Like he's that guy. I feel like he's one of like the most mature people I've ever met, but at the same time, he's also so immature. Like, at the right times.
Sure, yeah.
Like he knows how to like joke around with the guys, and like he'll be, dropping all of these like meme references and stuff, like asking me all of these like questions about some slang terms that are going around now. But at the same time, he'll just like tell me some huge piece of like wisdom that's like so profound. But he's got a very extensive vocabulary. I will say, like, sometimes I use these words, I'm like, I have no idea what that means.
Well, that's impressive. Yeah. I feel like that's what we do with Sarah sometimes. We have to reference her, be
Sarah
like,
today.
What is this?
I feel
what
like
does
I
this
do that
term
to
mean?
you guys sometimes.
You weren't in the room. She didn't know who Chris Farley was.
I still don't know who that is.
No.
Alex, do you know who that is?
Yeah, he was in SNL, and then
Tommy
See,
Boy.
I totally
Lots
did not
of
know.
movies. Yeah.
We'll let it go.
Patrick kind of looks like Chris Farley a little bit.
That's what he was. That's how it came up.
Oh, well, there you go. I kind of was there for the conversation.
We do want to ask you about the Winter Classic. We can leave the game out of it if you'd like, but just the experience of it, from our point of view, was incredible. I don't know if you're aware, when we were able to do the media skate, Chance was doing his rehearsal.
Oh, no way.
So it's like a live concert for 20 people.
That's
Yeah,
it was
pretty
cool, but I think they knocked it out of the park. What was your impressions of your first outdoor game at Wrigley?
Yeah, I mean, as far as Chance the Rapper goes, like all my friends asked me about it, and I was like, I have no idea like how it was. Like we were just
you were in the locker room.
Like we didn't say anything. But I heard it was cool. But yeah, I mean, the whole Winter Classic was honestly, it was way cooler than I thought it was gonna be. Just like coming out, it's like raining. Like the rain sucked for the first period, but it was cool, almost like coming out of the dugout, like as a team, like the rain, it's like drizzling. They got the band playing.
That was
like
really cool.
It was so cool. And then the national anthem, fireworks fly over. Like I had goosebumps and shit. Like I was so fired up. It was one of the coolest things. And then went down like 2-0 in like 4 minutes. So
Yeah, the game.
It was tough,
everything leading up to the game seemed like it was a really good experience. And what was the taking the train and doing the walking in with the bagpipes and the drums and everything? Like, what was that experience like? How'd that like come together as an idea?
I don't know how the train stuff came together. I mean, I know we kind of talked amongst ourselves as a team about like what we were wearing and stuff, and that we wanted to support like charities and everything. So I thought that was a really cool idea. The whole train thing, I'm not really sure honestly what was behind that. And then we were able to like carry our sticks and skates in kind of like old school, like you're going to the pond like to play hockey, which was pretty neat. And then going through, we kind of went through like an alley with some bagpipes and everything playing. That was really, really cool. I definitely won't forget it. It was such a an amazing opportunity.
Yeah, that was talk about like wanting to run through a wall.
Yeah.
When something like that happened. And I thought when everyone walked out to Smashing Pumpkins playing that was unexpected.
Cool.
And the crowd went nuts for that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the atmosphere from being from in the stands, it felt like it was awesome. For as much as it pained me to hear how many Blues fans were having a good time, it was. I think like you have that split in the crowd. Like I think it makes the game, the atmosphere a little bit more fun. I don't know from your perspective. I know it's probably not fun hearing Blues fans cheering.
I think it would have been fun if it was like a 50-50 game where you hear just as much from one as the other. But it was kind of honestly cool. I didn't expect there to be that many Blues fans there, but it definitely kind of reminded me of like playing college when you play, like at least in Boston, every team was so close. So like if we went to go play BC, like we would have like a huge student section at BC's rink and like our band there. So you'd hear like the BC chants, then you hear like the BU chants, and just kind of going back and forth, which was like it made it like really cool. So that kind of reminded me of that.
As far as playing, what were some of the surprises playing outdoors that you weren't expecting?
It was honestly hard. Like everything was just different. Like the ice wasn't, the first period the ice was terrible. Every puck was just bouncing. The glass was shorter, so you had to be careful on those flips or like off the glass plays. Everything was just a little bit different. It felt like you kind of had to play a little bit more of like a simple game. That's at least what I tried to do, is just keep it simple until I kind of got my feet under me. But and then the first, like the rain, you had to kind of wipe your visor every time you got off the ice, just because you kind of tilted up, so you weren't even using it.
It looked like Mrazek was having trouble seeing shots from distance, and I don't know if it was him who said, somebody said it after the game, where if the shot would come at a certain eye level, he would kind of lose it in the black of the crowd.
Yeah.
And then by the time it was on him, it was almost too late sometimes. I had to imagine the visuals, especially for a goalie, is a massive adjustment.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine. I know. Yeah, I can see what he's talking about, because I feel like anytime there was like a high flip or the puck was along the glass, like you kind of lost it almost for a second because you had no idea where it was going.
Yeah. Was it as cold as you were expecting being when you were like sitting on the bench or anything?
They had like heaters on the bench. Like I think the benches were actually heated themselves, and then there was like some heaters on the sides. I honestly never found myself like being cold, which was in terms of like temperature, it's perfect. In the first period, it was the only period where like the weather was like a problem. In the second and third, there was like no rain, so it was fine.
Were you guys switching jerseys each intermission?
Yeah.
I'd imagine with the first period having the rain on it, like if you're wearing the same one, like it's just gonna be like a slog.
Yeah. It was. I didn't think we were gonna do that. I don't know if they were just rotating between like two, but they definitely had them in the dryer or something in between periods.
By the way, how are the Fanatics jerseys compared to last year, just overall?
I honestly
notice much of a difference.
Yeah, as a player, like I mean, I don't know if anybody does, but I don't.
I remember when the Adidas jerseys came out, guys were mad because they were so slick that their gloves were filling with water. Like they were sweating.
Oh, really?
And they had to remake the fabric for the first year of Adidas.
That,
and that's when you started seeing those trainers invent those PVC pipe glove dryers.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was curious. People were very kind of hesitant when Fanatics took over, but everything we've seen looks great, and the players seem to like it too. There's one more super chat we want to get before we let Alex go. Tyler Johnson, your old teammate, watching the show. Hey, Tyler. He says, hey, Alex, not to put you in hot water with your team, but do you have a favorite or preferred line mate you like to play with? Keep up the good work. Also, who on the team do you hate the most? No, I'm just kidding. That part wasn't
paraphrasing.
Let's see. Preferred line mate you like to play with. I mean, I'll just say Crevier. I think right now we're playing well together, and we kind of have that chemistry, like I said, that we had in Rockford, and I think he's such a good like human being, which makes it easier, come off the ice after a shift or something. Like we can talk to each other, and we have that relationship where we're never getting mad at each other, and it's just kind of like, hey, like maybe next time I'm open there, or like call for this, or So he's very open for like, what's the word? Not criticism, but like
Just like
suggestions.
Yeah,
almost,
yeah,
you know,
constructive
bouncing,
criticism.
yeah, like if
bouncing ideas off each other.
Yeah, 100%. Like he'll come to me and say, "Hey, did I have you there?" You know, just I like being able to kind of have that like frequency of conversation with your partner.
Kane and Taves used to fight on the bench all the time, and it worked out all right for them.
Yeah,
so
it's not a bad thing.
don't worry about it. All right, Alex, we're gonna let you go, man. Thank you for your time.
Any
Yeah,
I know I might have broken the news to you, but have any plans for Frank's 21st tonight?
that first beer is gonna taste
I gotta
weird.
Text him. Yeah, maybe I'll send him a Venmo or something for $10 for a beer.
There you go.
But no, yeah, I feel bad now. I don't know. Nobody was saying anything at the rink.
Maybe he's one of those people that just likes to keep it quiet. He doesn't strike me as someone that is, gonna lay low on some things. Seems like he has that confidence about him, but
who
knows?
I don't know. I think our father's trip's actually coming up, so maybe his dad's in town.
Yeah,
I'm sure they're doing something as a family.
Take some of Emma's cake with you.
Yeah,
for
true.
Frank.
Yeah,
We can.
Okay, I got you 1/8 of a bundt cake.
slice of a birthday cake. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, Alex. Thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it. Go
thank
give
you,
that a
guys.
big Bauer a try. You could use it next game.
Yeah, the wooden
Just bring
one.
it back.
All right,
I appreciate that. That's Alex Vlasic, Blackhawks defenseman here on CHGO Blackhawks. We'll be back with a bunch more in a moment. Well, we want to tell you about... Oh, yep. There we go. Want to tell you about our friends at Right On Optics. They manufacture and sell the best binoculars you have ever seen. They are high quality, no matter what outdoor activities you prefer. It is always important to have the best view. Right On Optics offers a full range of optics products so you can see clearly. So maybe you're going to see the Winter Classic in 2 years when it's back in Chicago again. Or you're up in the
heading down to
suite with
Florida.
us in the 300 level suites coming up on Monday.
Yeah.
Or you're going to watch Notre Dame win the national championship, but you got nosebleeds. Get those Right On binoculars. They are outstanding. They've been around for over a decade. Every product receives a full quality control inspection, and they have the ultimate lifetime warranty that doesn't only cover defects, but also accidental damage from drops. So I've dropped my phone several times. You break your binoculars from Right On, they're going to take care of it. No questions asked. It's quality products that you can trust. Check out the full line of Right On products today at rightonoptics.com/CHGO. That's RITON optics.com/CHGO. Get yourself some badass binoculars.
And yeah, speaking of nosebleed seats, you can get a good deal on nosebleed seats if you prefer to sit that far away with your Right On Optics binoculars. Through our friends at Game Time. Game Time has a new feature that you may have heard of called Game Time Picks, which makes getting tickets to any event even easier because Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. You use that curation so you can find the best seats to any sporting event, concert, comedy show, theater event, anything that you want to put your butt in a seat or standing room only. You could go stand on the floor of a concert, right up close if you want to. Anywhere you want to go, Game Time can get you there. And
right now, Bulls game, $15 for tonight. Pelicans at Bulls.
Not bad.
That's a Game Time pick right there, baby.
There you go. They have their all-in pricing feature as well, which allows you to see the total upfront so that when you get to the checkout, there's no hidden or surprise fees. You know exactly what you're going to pay with Game Time. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use the code CHGO, and you're going to get $20 off of your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Good stuff. $15 to see the Boo. Go do it.
Not bad.
Yeah. All right. So thanks to Alex for being here. Always great, always insightful, always learn something when he talks.
Now let's
on our
talk
show.
about him behind
Now
his
let's
back.
talk crap now he's left. No. So the big story from last night's game was Seth Jones and had a really bad performance, was basically benched for the third period. And I wasn't sure today at practice if we'd see him. Seth Jones is one of the first guys in the locker room and knew questions were coming and stood up and took them.
Yep.
So let's hear what Seth Jones had to say today after Hawks practice.
Obviously, we changed our neutral zone and we changed some of our breakout stuff, but at the end of the day, there's no excuse for the way that we're losing, and we have to find a way to play more as a team. And I don't even know what to say sometimes because we've been saying the same thing for I don't know how long, but we have to find a way to put together a few wins in a row and be more consistent.
You seem a little frustrated by your own play lately. You've been playing well at the beginning of the year. Is it the injury? Is that still playing a role in it? Are you still kind of working away back from being 100%?
No, I have to find a way to be better. We have to find momentum on the 5-minute power play. We score a goal, and just a boneheaded play and by me, and then it's 5-2, and feels out of reach again. So, I destroy the momentum there, and just try to make simple plays like we always talk about, and find a way to string shifts and periods together.
There were a couple of times where when you touched the puck, some fans were booing, and how was that feel when it's gotten to that point?
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. We're obviously not putting the product on the ice that we want to, and I'll gladly take the blame for that. Supposedly, that's what comes with the territory of the contract that I got, and I'm willing to stand in front of that. It's unfortunate. The losing obviously doesn't help any of that at all in the position we've been in the last few years. But start with myself, and we can always find a way to be better.
Mentally, is that tough to deal with?
What?
Just dealing with the outside noise and trying to compartmentalize what the fans think, but also trying to improve your own play.
It's been since day one I signed here, so it's nothing new.
But do you still feel engaged here, like you're a part of the long-term plan? Do you still believe in the vision? Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, also just philosophically, do you feel like there's any sacrifice of the defense for the defensemen being more active offensively? It seems like, under Luke, there were closer losses, but you guys weren't as aggressive, and that's part of the offense. Yeah. Do you agree with that?
When you're aggressive and you want your D to pinch and join the rush, there has to be some sort of understanding that we might give up some more men rushes, but everyone has to cover for each other. And with Luke, we weren't pinching, so we weren't giving up as many glaring chances as you might see now. I'm not sure which system was better for us. We're losing both ways.
There he is, Seth Jones. Very easily, just so everyone knows, Seth Jones could very easily have just disappeared into the back room that the media does not have access to, but he faced the music. He owned it.
There was
blamed himself, called his play boneheaded.
Yeah. There was a short period of time before practice started that I slightly felt like maybe we might get a Seth Jones maintenance day email before practice started, but he was out there. The practice itself was a high intensity practice, and then we all saw him walk into the room. I walked over there. I mean, there was no denying that if he wasn't going to talk after the game last night, that he should do it today, and he did, and credit to him for doing that. As he says, that comes with the territory of being the guy that he is on this team, both by leadership role and cap hit and the amount of time he plays per game. Like it's all part of it. So I think it remains to be seen what the lineup potentially looks like in tomorrow's practice before they head to Nashville to take on the Predators. Andrew Sorensen talked about Seth and the team as a collective, and said they are aware of the problems that they make. A lot of guys are self-aware of whether they're playing well or not, and he said Seth is one of those guys that takes personal accountability for his play. I think if based off of last night's post-game show, I still feel like there is a message of accountability to be held, a standard to be set for across the board, whether it's Lucas Reichel, Philip Kurashev, Taylor Hall, Seth Jones. Like I think if you have a stretch of play that is not up to snuff, that is not up to what the standards are to be set for you specifically, you gotta be held accountable for it. So we'll see we'll see what tomorrow's practice brings. But as far as today, Seth talking about it, he recognizes it. He heard all your boos, and it's just kind of where this team is at.
Yeah, I mean, it would shock me if they scratch him. You could certainly justify it if they do. I don't know. After sleeping on it a little bit, I know he's not playing well. And yes, I have said all along that everyone should be held to the same standard, but this is a guy who has come to this city, has played under circumstances that he was not promised when he decided to come here. He has been a good soldier throughout. He has never complained. He has never batted an eye. He has played... What?
He hasn't complained since he's
Are you talking about
been
the end of last year?
Yeah.
I don't think saying that things need to be better here is complaining. Tyler Johnson was complaining.
I think there's ways that Seth has talked in the last few seasons that you read the context clues and you can see that it's a guy that is a little bit frustrated and kind of letting some of those things out.
Yeah.
He's not coming out and publicly being like,
but I would read
I'm
it as frustrated with losing and frustrated with the situation, not necessarily whining and crying like I deserve better. And no, I know no hockey player is going to do that, but he hasn't done anything that's been problematic.
No, I wouldn't say problematic to that point. But yeah. I think to say like he's taken everything in stride is right. More of a blanket statement.
That's fair.
But he's a guy that is. I agree. He came here expecting something different than he's been in. It's taken him some time to accept that is the situation and taken some time to make the best of it. I think he's trying to do that, and it comes with both, in being put in the leadership role and being put in the role in the lineup that he's expected to play 25 plus minutes a night and be in all situations. If your play's not up to that, then you kind of have to. It's part of the deal. You have to answer for it.
We're gonna get your super chats here on the other side of the next timeout, but there's a couple of comments, and our buddy Evil Bills says Seth is not a leader. I don't know if you can really make that claim just based on the fact that he's not playing well. There's a lot of guys not playing well. He wears a letter on his jersey. He's chosen by the leadership of the team, leadership being coaches, and I think they've got a pretty good insight on who the leaders of the team are. Connor Murphy wears one. Jason Dickinson wears one.
Nick Foligno
wears one, and no one has questioned their leadership. But neither of them make $9.5 million and have been a pariah since the day they've arrived. And I think that's what I'm talking about is like from the day the Hawks acquired Seth Jones, people hated the trade, even though looking back on it, not much came of it. Adam Boqvist is a Florida Panther.
Yeah.
Cole Sillinger hasn't been hugely superstar-ish.
Maybe you pick somebody different with that pick.
Right. But like, okay. And people hate the contract. So the first time he put his foot on the ice at the United Center in a Hawks jersey, people didn't like Seth Jones. And that's something that he has been dealing with since he got here. So I don't know. It has bothered me since he's come here that anyone in any line of work, no matter how good of a firefighter, plumber, teacher, whatever you are, if someone's going to offer you an astronomical amount of money, you're going to say, okay, thank you. I will take it.
Right.
And yes, of course, it creates pressure on you to perform, and it creates pressure on you to be better and step up. And I think that I don't want to say that Seth hasn't tried to do that, but he also really hasn't been put in a position to take that step because he's had virtually no help until Vlasic arrived. Right. And Vlasic is really just coming into his own over the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think as a whole, Chicago has been very unfair to Seth Jones. I think every mistake he makes is amplified times 20. Every time he makes a mistake on the ice, people want to call him out for it when, as we've said all along, he is an imperfect defenseman. He's probably a number 4 on a great team. These are all true, but at the same time, he's not a guy they should be seeking to buy out or seeking to trade immediately or, as some people suggest, cut, which you can't really do.
Right.
The Hawks are typically a better team with him on the ice. It's not been the case since he came back from injury, a broken foot.
No.
That is factually correct.
And he says that the injury is not hampering him. So then you kind of got to open it up to, okay, then what is it? Is it playing in Anders Sorensen's system? Is it playing with Wyatt Kaiser? What is the issue that has been causing him to have over the last 10, 12 games some of the probably the longest stretch of bad hockey that he's had since being here in Chicago. So it's a point in time where these guys got to figure it out, whether it's young guys or veterans. You gotta figure out what's going on. We hear it from Alex here, is that they're all kind of trying to figure out what is causing it. They know what their problems are. They know how to correct them. They have to go out and do it. But it's somewhere between we know what it is, we know how to correct it, we just actually have to go out and do it. That's the part of this team that has the disconnect, is the going out and do it. So I think when you're a longtime vet like Seth is, a guy who makes a lot of money, a guy who plays a lot of minutes, there's a lot more on your shoulders each game. The spotlight is brighter on you to kind of figure those things out. So when things aren't going well and you're making turnovers at center ice that go back and create a shorthanded goal, like there's a lot that comes with it. So I feel like I agree that there has been a tilted amount of angst towards him from the fan base since the day he's got here. I think there's been times where it's been completely unwarranted based off of his play, but there's also times where I feel like, given what he's supposed to be to this team, like it is warranted. So I think this is one of those times where it's just like, this is a time where the team needs you to perform at your highest to help pull this team out of this slump. And he hasn't been able to do it yet.
All right, we got to hit the break zone. Lots of good comments. We got some super chats we want to get to as well, so stick around. We'll get to those before we wrap up here in about 10 minutes. And I want to tell you about our new partners at Saturday Neon. Started by two college buddies, Saturday Neon makes officially licensed collegiate logo LED neon signs, perfect for your home, office, dorm room, fan cave, or bar, or anywhere in your house, really. Anywhere. Yeah. Check out their new Essentials collection featuring almost 50 of the biggest schools across the country for only $75. There's no better way to represent your favorite Big Ten team, including that one that's going to get smoked on Monday. Unlike traditional neon, these LED signs won't break or shatter, but still give you that classic uniform glow that you know and love. The LEDs last for over 100,000 hours, so you'll be enjoying your sign for years to come. They're super easy to install using the provided hardware or with 3M command strips. They're low voltage, so they're not hot, so you can touch them. They're safe to touch, and it's a great gift. CHGO has used Saturday Neon to get our studio signs, and they look great. Use the code CHGO for 10% off your order at SaturdayNeon.com.
And with those bright neon signs, you're going to need some polarized shades to go with it and protect your eyes, and do it with our friends over at Shady Rays. They have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all your outdoor activities or your driving activities. Today it was very bright on my way into practice. Had to pull out the Shady Rays from the center console and pop those bad boys on.
Snowblind, son.
So I'd be able to see what I was doing on the highway.
Good thought.
Yeah. That's when you need your vision to be clear. Crystal clear with Shady Rays. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect match, paired to match your style and in the colors of your favorite teams. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. You can head to shadyrays.com, use the code CHGO, and you're going to get 35% off of those polarized sunglasses. So try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
All right, a couple good comments before we get to Super Chats here. I think Change the Logo had one a little bit further up there, Sarah. He was talking about, keep going down. Yes, the fan base is always going to have a punching bag, winning cups, or last in the league. People bagged on Seabrook, who is now universally loved. And he says, I'm not saying Jones is Seabrook, but people are overreacting. Every mistake is under a microscope. he has been bad the past few games. Someone else earlier mentioned Brian Campbell and how when Brian Campbell was here, that $8.5 million contract, even though the Hawks were winning and very, very good, they could not see past the contract that in their eyes was too much money. Probably similar to Seth Jones, $1.5 million too much, $2 million too much. And people would not appreciate Brian Campbell because of the contract. It was Ryan in the chat who said that. So just some things to keep in mind. There always has to be a punching bag. And if and when the Hawks move on from Seth Jones, Hawks fans will find a new one. All right, 2 more super chats. Thomas for $5 says, do you think the struggle is that Kyle Davidson constructed a roster versus having a team? Maybe this is a learning lesson for him too. Could be.
I think there could be something to that. I think there could be something to that. I think it's obviously a hindsight thing, but I think going out and getting a lot of new guys to come together and gel so quickly and have all these expectations may have been just probably a taller task than Davidson maybe thought it was going to be for this team this year. So again, that's why when we were talking last night, that's why I said, going into next season, I would love for this roster next year to be primarily in-house guys, maybe 1 or 2 if you're getting difference maker free agents or trade pieces, like be okay with that. But I'd much rather, people, guys longer than a year, who warrant that. But I think trying to get that chemistry with just almost a dozen new faces, I think we thought on paper it was going to work out. I think in practice it's very rare for teams built that way to have that immediate click and success.
McLovin, $5 says, at what point does Seth ask for a trade out? He has all the cards, but it's becoming super toxic with fan mentality, the losing, the Hawks path forward, etc. I don't know if he'll ask for a trade. He might. Wouldn't blame him. Couldn't, I think a fresh start for him and the organization could be something that both parties would welcome.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
As the question says, like, he holds all the cards. He's got a full no trade clause. Is it full no move, no trade?
I think it's full no move, but the
it's the Stan Bowman special.
People, of course, all the money, all the term, and no trade. Some people were asking on Twitter today about buying him out. That doesn't make a ton of sense, and here's why. So his cap hit is $9.5 million. If you buy him out, the cap savings next year is $4.3 million or $4.43 million, with a $5 million cap hit. 2026-27, you're only saving 1.9.
Full no movement.
27-28, 28-29, 29-30, it's a $1.4 million cap hit. So those 3 years, you're still paying him $8 million to not be on the roster. It's an $8 million cap hit when you buy him out.
Yeah.
So that's hardly any savings. And then once the contract's up after 2029, 2030, it's $1.066 million for 5 more years. Now, in 2030, is $1.06 million a lot on the cap? No, but it's 5 years of him being completely gone off the books, maybe out of the game, that you're still going to be paying Seth Jones. And again, the cap savings you'd save would be 4.4 next year, 1.9 the year after, and then 1.4 for the 3 remaining. It's not even that much of a savings.
Yeah, I think with the idea of the salary cap continuing to go up, I mean, you hope that continues. If you were to buy him out, that's 5 years of $1 million that's just dead on your books. And I don't know. I'd imagine if the rebuild goes well and it's sustainable, that by 2030, that $1 million and change, it could make the difference, because the Blackhawks could be a team at that point that is spending every cent that they can to ice the most competitive cup contending roster as possible. So I think the buyout path presents that challenge. The trade path, if he were to say, yes, I will waive for this specific trade, they have salary retention slots open, 2 of them, I believe they have. If you eat half and let's say you traded him this trade deadline, hypothetically, I don't think it's going to happen. But that's what, 4.75 over the next until 2030. are you eating? You basically, so you cut his salary in half on this team currently. You still eat 4.75, but it's only for it's for the next 5 years.
I do that.
Whereas you're not necessarily trying to spend to the cap over the next 5 years, in theory. Like it's a little bit, it's a juggling act. Like and this is why I'm glad I'm not a GM, because these are really tough foresight conclusions or decisions to make. But I don't know. I think the weighing of both of those, for me, I'd rather have the money on the books over the next 5 years if it's cut in half, rather than that extra $1 million for someone who's not,
absolutely,
like you said, might not even be playing the game by that time. On those back end years.
If moving on from Seth Jones is the only option, then it's trade, and if you have to eat salary, you eat salary.
Right, because if you buy him out, you don't get anything back.
The buyout is reckless, and you're not saving anything on the cap, and it's going to haunt you for years and years and years. Another 10 years, you're still dealing with that deal. So, no, I am not looking at a buyout.
I just hope that the play of Jones can turn around, that we can at least get back to the point where the usual suspects who are bagging on Seth Jones, no matter what he does, are the only ones doing it.
Right.
And the people doing it because of his recent play can get back to, he's fine.
Yeah, I mean, we're not that far removed from him playing pretty well. I mean, it's not, it's not like this entire season for him has been a disaster. It's just not reality.
Yeah.
After the injury has been, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah. And I think this stretch of games and this performance is kind of opening up a lot of the people who have kind of been like, he's okay, to now being like, no, we're done with him. And for me, I know that we've been a group that has tried to keep Jones in perspective and his contributions to the team. Again, it's call us truthers if you want, whatever. But there is still times where you're just like, you really wish you could get a little bit more out of Seth Jones on a consistent basis. So
agree with that.
So this stretch, given where this team is at, where this season has gone, like I get it, where people are using this as like, more opening the floodgates of like booing him every time he touches the puck, like he's Rafi Torres or something.
Yeah. Someone said the only person I want to buy out is Brody. It's Windy City. There he is. If you bought out TJ Brody, you would save $500,000 on the cap next year.
Nice.
Cap hit would be 3.233, and then the next year he would have a $258,000 cap hit, and that's it. So
you're saving less than league minimum if you buy him out.
Sure, but you're paying nothing. So it's
right.
I think that could potentially be on the table. I just want to be clear on my stance on Seth Jones too. It's like, my bigger point is, whether you love him or hate him, to just obsess over his performance every single game, you're just going to drive yourself insane. Because chances are he's going to be here for at least the near future.
Yeah. The
rest of this year, probably a couple of years after this, I would think, before a team's really thinking about taking on that deal, even at half price. That's kind of, what I'm saying is, for your sanity, don't live and die with him every shift, because it's what Stan Bowman did in giving him $9.5 million for 8 years and a full no movement clause is he has strapped the Blackhawks with Seth Jones for the vast majority of that deal.
Right.
And you just hope for the best and hope he performs at a better level than he's been over the last 11 games. I'm confident he can get back there. Today's practice was very intense. It was short, but it was physical, and Seth Jones was out there every other shift busting his ass. Like, I think he was embarrassed by his game last night. So I'm very curious to see how he looks Thursday. We'll see. We're going to find out.
Tomorrow's practice should be telling.
Yep, and we'll be on after practice at 2:30. As always, might go over Corey Pronman's new controversial list, as always. But want to remind everybody before we do, to become a CHGO diehard today, you're going to get a free shirt or hat when you sign up. Not to mention access to all of our great written content, our members-only Discord, 20% off all of our merch, takeovers, all that stuff. And Alex was here today signing some things for our next takeover. So if you already have a ticket for that, goody for you. You just got a cool souvenir coming your way.
Nice.
So become a diehard. Go to allchgo.com or check that QR code on your screen right now, and it'll take you right to the page you need to go. Anything to add before we go?
No.
All right.
I'm good. We'll be back tomorrow.
Sarah, anything to add?
No.
All right.
Go watch Tommy Boy tonight.
Yeah, go watch. That's your homework assignment.
I've seen Tommy Boy.
In Wayne's World.
I've seen Wayne's World.
Well, Chris Farley's in Wayne's World too.
Honestly, I just didn't like those movies really, but that's just me. I know. It's time to go. Goodbye.
Boo,
Talk to you tomorrow.
Sarah. Boo.
Talk to you tomorrow at 2:30, everybody.
We all silly like the mayor.